Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
This is Coach's Corner.
Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner, coming to you from the campus of Gulf Coast State College. Coach's Corner, brought to you by Sweet Bay. I'm your host, Greg Sherrod, and we have with us the Gulf Coast Lady Commodore head softball coach, Mr. Scott Thomas. Hi.
Hey, Greg.
How's it going, man?
Well, you know, we've had a little better weekends behind us, but I think we've got some great weekends ahead of us. So, you know, we'll be talking about a little bit about it, but excited about what we got going on.
Yeah, I notice you're wearing, and you can see, Coach has got on a Gulf Coast basketball shirt instead of softball or baseball. What's the deal with basketball?
Yeah, you know, hey, after the weekend that they just had and the excitement of a triple overtime win on a half-court shot, I was like, I'm hoping some of this will rub off on us, you know, and proud of what those guys are doing and under some tough circumstances. Scott Jackson's doing a great job pulling those guys through, and what a huge win for them. And then obviously great finish for our women's basketball team under the legend that is Rooney Scoville. So I'm hoping this rubs off a little bit, but this is kind of my support of those guys, and I'm proud of what they do, and it's just been fun to watch. It really has been. We're still got Phil on our mind, making sure he's recovering from his little ordeal, and I think he'll be back and good to go though.
Well, that's cool to show your support for your colleagues in other sports, but also in so many sports, you got your superstition, so why not go with that? I mean, it could rub a little karma.
Yeah, maybe some good karma. We need that. We can take that after a tough weekend.
Speaking of the tough weekend, the Lady Commodores 0-4 on the weekend, playing at Seminole State Tournament in Longwood, losing to 3 nationally ranked teams, though, and 2 of those were one-run games.
Yeah, there were some good things. I thought we hit the ball well. We had some really good at-bats. We had some pitching was good at times, but I think the biggest thing is getting consistency in our pitching. And if we can get that to go along with our hitting, you know, when we're playing these tough tournaments and playing teams that are nationally ranked, you know, we've got to have that consistency on the pitching side, but I feel good about our hitting, and it's kind of come together. It's been tough. As I told the girls, that our last 9 a.m. Type of game time, which means our wake-up calls, you know, 6:30 or whatever, that's all behind us now.
Right.
So that's a tough thing. We kind of did a little quick breathing exercise after that last game and just said, okay, we're okay. You know, life is okay. We're going to take this experience and move forward with it. And it's tough to walk away from a game, you know, or from a tournament like that at 0-4. But I think there were some things that were positive inside of those losses.
That's always a good mental thing, especially to pass along. Lady Commodores lost 7-4 to Seminole State. A 1-run loss to St. John's River and a 1-run loss to Indian River, 6-5. But and then being shut out 8-0 by Central Florida. But like you said, 3 of those teams ranked nationally. So
yeah, Central Florida's very good. They're a top 5. I think they're ranked number 3 in the country right now, and so they're the real deal for our level of play. And but I think we're playing right there with the other teams. I thought. You know, it's a matter of we've got to stay on the gas a little pedal, you know, as the game goes on, and stay consistent there. And then, like I said, we've got to get consistent pitching for us, and somebody can go a little bit more deeper with us. We've seen it at times. We know we've got it. It's just a matter of making it happen. And so over the next few weeks, we're hoping to gain that consistency, gain some confidence, and you know, a lot of that starts with being able to play at home.
That's right, which we'll get to here in just a minute. The fact that the Lady Commodores will play their first home game of the season on Wednesday in a doubleheader. and then a slew of games, Joe Todman King Field. But back to some of the individual play from where we stand now at 10-8, and after this past weekend, I mean, the stats on Summer Johnson and Taylor Robinson and is it Caroline Woolley?
Woolley, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've this is some impressive stuff. I mean, you got Caroline Woolley, for example, 583, couple of RBIs, and just getting on base a lot. Looks like.
Yeah. She hit 583 on the weekend. She's hitting 532 overall. Taylor Robinson had a really good weekend. I think she hit 400, I guess.
Yeah.
And it just she had a couple home runs and doing a great job there. And then Summer has just been on fire. She's just such a talented freshman. She hit 600 on the weekend, another couple bombs, another double.
Yeah,
I think she's got 7 doubles, 7 home runs, and 3 triples this early, that's a career, that's a season for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So she's done it so far already, and she's just a smart base runner. She's a great competitor. I'll tell you, the other one that ranks right in there with them is Belle Wolfenden. Belle's been doing great, and Belle's the one that kind of gets some hard luck atom ball type of hits that just don't show up in the stats, but she's really having some competitive. She doesn't strike out very much. Her on-base percentage is high. She battles late. So those 4 are leading us, and then we have some other kids that are really doing a great job overall. And then probably the 2 table setters for us, and Ellie Freed and Anna Greek, which is our slappers, one that starts in the leadoff and one in a 9-hole. And they've done a great job of giving us some runners on base and giving us a shot to score some runs. So anyway, that's where we are right now. I feel good about that, and we just got to maintain that. And we're bringing some hitters along. Cam Mahalis has come along. Hannah Seegers had a tough weekend, but has been one of our top hitters. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
That's the thing about it. It's only 18 games into a long season.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've always liked about softball and baseball is it's a long season. Injuries can heal. You can break out of slumps. You can emerge as a star or whatever, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. And we're going to see that, I think. I feel good about it.
Batting average as a team hitting 352. Outscored your opponents so far, 126 to 81. I mean, you know, that's.
Yeah, overall, I think you're seeing that we can hit the ball. I know one that's a little frustrated, but then had like 2 hits the other in the game. I guess against Indian River was Emily Greek, and she's been a little frustrated with things, but she's a special talent. She's and when you come out and see us play, and you see a 6'1" shortstop that you're like, is she a volleyball or basketball player? No, that's our shortstop, and she can play. She's smooth. She's battling, just kind of going through a little bit of a slumpish, but when those balls start falling in that are whether they're cheap hits or not, that's a good sign. That means you're putting the bat on the ball, and good things are going to happen.
Now you want to win these close one-run games and all this. There's a lot of situations you're in, depending on the opponent, where you're not going to score 8-10 runs a ball game. You think you need to win the 4-3 games or the low scoring.
Yeah, and that's where we got to get our pitchers to step up for us a little bit. But it's also about it's kind of, again, we've been getting some early leads and then kind of just putting on the brakes a little bit or pumping them at least enough that I guess we don't want to take anything away from our opponents. I think our opponents are certainly making adjustments as well. But you can't get up there and kind of get comfortable, and we may have done that a time or two this year, and so we're growing from that, and we'll be fine.
The Lady Commodores playing their first home game of the season. That'll be coming up. It'll be Wednesday afternoon. A twin bill, a doubleheader against Coastal Alabama North. That's at 3 o'clock first pitch. The only other game that would be the only game for the week. Of course, you'll play Sunday at home against Lake Michigan in a doubleheader. But the first home game in a stretch. It'd be good to be here.
Well, it's going to be good. And I told the girls, when we got through our game yesterday, it's like, hey, let's take a deep breath. Mm-hmm. It's a tough stretch when we've been on the road. We haven't been at home. But I think now that we're going to be at home, I think you're going to see a team that's hopefully we can get some confidence, kind of get. And I don't know that we're really all that unconfident. I'm not sure that that's really the case. But what we have to do is take advantage of being at home, sleeping in our own beds, and getting in our own routine here here in Panama City. So here on campus, and we're excited about playing in front of our fans. I know our fans are excited to see us in person, and so Wednesday's going to be a big day for us.
That'd be great too. And you mentioned earlier about those in the first few games, well, all season. There's been those 9 a.m. games and 10 a.m. The rest of the season, schedule-wise, you don't have the first pitch until noon. On a lot of them. We got a lot late afternoon games, but it's good to get out of that.
Yeah, we've been doing that in softball. I don't know why we do that. And so other sports don't do it like as much as we do. Every now and then you'll have an early morning game, but we do it way too much in softball. I don't know why we've succumbed ourselves to that. I know there's some early getaways on Sundays. It's kind of nice to play early so you can get home at a decent hour. But, we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can sleep in and get well rested and come out and be the best we can be.
We're talking with Scott Thomas, the head softball coach of the Gulf Coast Lady Commodores here in the Coach's Corner show, sponsored by Sweet Bay. When you were a player, you played at East Tennessee State, and you had these games early in the season or whenever, and not that you're slumping and not worried about a 4-game losing streak, but when you had the manager or coach have to give you a certain pep talk to make sure you weren't getting down too early, and to hang in there and it's still early and all this, how did you feel about that as a player? I mean, mentally, you're thinking you need to step it up. Well,
I think it's a different game now. Okay, and so I only played a couple. I was only right there at East TSU for a couple of years with part of the team, so that's kind of a misnomer. But having played men's fast pitch and summer ball, and so I think that the difference is right now. We played back then, and I don't mean to sound like the old fuddy-duddy guy that's been around, whatever. But I think we that was our deal, that was our time for going out and finishing things and kind of working through where we didn't have the things to kind of look forward to after games. So I think our mentality then was that we had to, finish stuff, finish games. So I think that's something for today's athletes that we have to continue to work on the culture piece and talk about that and make sure that we understand that. I think our girls understand that, but it's a matter of now you got to put it to good use out on the field and completing the job. Yeah. And I know our young kids and millennials, whatever, get to kind of a bad rap these days. I think because we're the reason why that happened. We raised these kids and then we want to point fingers. That doesn't make any sense to me. We're the reason why that's the problem. Nice. And so what we need to do is make sure that we're fixing the problem and leading these kids to through those tough innings. And so that means my job's got to be I got to do a better job of my job as we get into later innings and hopefully finishing things.
I like that, Coach. Not looking for a scapegoat, taking it all on yourself. That's cool. Character, if you will. Wrapping things up here, but we got a second to remind you again, a doubleheader on Wednesday in Panama City, Joe Tom King Field. Lady Commodores Coastal Alabama North. This is they're playing a doubleheader and play another doubleheader on Sunday, starting at 1 o'clock. And looking forward to home cooking. That'll be great.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so everybody get out.
Absolutely, come out and see us. I think you'll enjoy. We're a fun bunch to watch.
Fantastic. Coach Scott Thomas of the Lady Commodores, this week's Coach's Corner show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
From the campus of Gulf Coast State College in Panama City, this is another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Greg Sherrod. Coach's Corner, brought to you as always by Sweet Bay. And joining us to talk about the Gulf Coast baseball Commodores, sitting in for head coach Mike Handler, is our pinch hitting, if you will, for Candy, is Jake Schuster, assistant coach and the pitching coach. Jake, pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. In for Canada is an extremely tough act to follow, but I'm sure you'll be able to pull it through here.
Oh, yeah.
The Commodores are coming off a weekend, now leaves them at 8-7 on the young season, playing Friday against Shelton State and losing 5-3, then beating Wallace Community College 13-3, and losing twice on Saturday against Shelton. So a 1-3 weekend. Again, on the road, these road games get wicked.
Yeah, we struggled a little bit this weekend, and it's still early in the season for us. We saw some good things and some things that we need to improve on. We're looking forward to getting back out there this week and getting better and hopefully having a better weekend this next time.
Very good. You only have a couple of games this week. Actually, there would be 4 double headers. The Tuesday game in Panama City starts at 3 against Coastal Alabama South, and then on Saturday, hitting the road to Cuthbert. Is it Cuthbert, Georgia?
Yes.
To play a twin bill against Andrew College, and then after that, we hit March, and boom, it's going to be more games in the friendly confines of Bill Frazier Field. As a pitching coach, first I want to say that Jake, coming to Panama City and Gulf Coast State College from Clemson, your job description there at Clemson?
Just kind of a little bit of everything. Wherever I was needed to help out, I was very fortunate to be around a coaching staff that gave me a lot of opportunities to do some things around the program, and they taught me a lot, and that's the only reason why I'm here.
It's great to have you here. And before we get into some technology, if you will, just want to talk briefly about as pitching coach. Tell me about the arms and how's things going, in your opinion, so far.
Yeah, we've been okay. We threw the ball really well early. Really challenged hitters. We did a great job. That's been one of our main points all year, from the first meeting of the fall, is we're going to attack everybody. We're going to challenge everybody. We're not going to give up free bases. We're not going to make non-competitive pitches. So we did a great job of that early in the year. We've gotten away from it a little bit this past weekend especially. Hitters are starting to catch up a little bit,
right?
And so you're not getting away with some of the same mistakes. But overall, I'm pleased with what we've been able to do, and there's definitely areas for us to improve going forward, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and plenty of time too. There's only 15 games in the season. Look at this schedule, all the way down. And Gulf Coast has 9 conference games, and then they really get into Panhandle Conference play, which of course is huge. Now, as far as technology goes, Coach Canner was on here a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about the things that go on these days, and you're here to show us. Now, and before I get to the question, I think of the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Where they really does this kind of coincide with this a little bit?
Absolutely. So that's perfect. You walked me right into my first point. I think it's important to understand why technology is becoming such a big part of the game, and that starts with Brad Pitt Moneyball, which actually starts with a guy named Bill James. It's a long story, but he started really analyzing baseball stats and coming up with efficient outcomes to producing runs and to preventing runs, which later became known as sabermetrics. But that has changed how we train hitters and how we train hitters. You're looking at the most efficient way to score a run is to hit a home run. I can't say with the 100% fact, but I think the probability of 1 out of 4 players hitting a home run is greater than 4 out of 4 players hitting a single to score a run.
Right.
So the efficiency of that, and you take the defense out of it. Same thing with walks on the offensive side. You take the defense out of it. So it's an efficient way to produce runs. And then on the pitching side, you take the defense out of it again, the most efficient way to get an out is a strikeout. So that has changed the way that we train hitters and pitchers a little bit, especially at the big league level. Strikeouts are at an all-time high. Home runs are at an all-time high. You got more walks. And the big leagues they're at a way different level than college and down to high school. But you're starting to see that transition occur a little bit into high school and college, and it's given us this technology, which we use to try to produce those desired outcomes.
Okay. Tell me about this. What is exactly
So
you got?
This is the pitching Rapsodo. They make a hitting version and a pitching version.
Okay.
Inside here we've got basically it's just a high-speed camera, which is attached to a monitor, and then that'll connect via Bluetooth to an iPad.
Okay.
And the iPad has an application, basically a big display screen that has all this information on it. So the camera will read the ball. From the hitting side, it'll read the flight of the ball in, then the flight of the ball out. From the pitching side, it reads the flight of the ball in, and spits out a ton of data, just a bunch of data. And there's a ton of this going around. There's one called TrackMan that's in every major league and pretty much every college stadium now. Pitch FX, Diamond Kinetics, StatCast. There's a ton of this stuff going around, and we're very fortunate here that we've got the Rapsodo.
No kidding. Wow, that blows my mind. How do you find time for this, or do you set aside time this for the players?
We pretty much, especially on the pitching side, we use it in everything we do. If we're throwing bullpens, we put it up there. If we're throwing live, we'll put it right out there on the field. As much data as we can get to help our pitchers have better outcomes, better probabilities of success, we will take it. And then hitters, a lot of time, will do it in the cage. We'll have a cage group, and we'll have them take swings. And you can go on to the cloud and get all this information syncs up. So I'll go on the internet later on in the day or the next day in the office and kind of take my notes and print out reports and all that kind of stuff on how we can improve guys based on those numbers.
They do all that. They sit there and they watch. You still have to hit and throw.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But and the players' responses, they're probably digging it. They're probably
They love it. And one of the things that we've kind of had to do is control the input of what we give the players. Because we're talking about very in-depth, very complicated things that get down to scientific levels of, legitimate physics establishing why a ball behaves a certain way. Well, obviously, you don't want to sit there and fill a player's head full of physics because they're not going to understand any of it. Right. And then sometimes when they start thinking, that's when things go bad. So we've had to learn how to control the input a little bit, that we give little nuggets of useful information so that they can translate those nuggets into, like you said, you still have to throw the ball, you still have to hit the ball.
Wow. We're talking with Jake Schuster, the pitching coach for Gulf Coast Baseball, filling in for head coach Mike Candler. Coach's Corner brought to you by Sweet Bay. This thing is, this thing's it's very heavy. I mean, that's heavy.
Yes.
That's a heavy deal here.
They keep it, the case, they keep it really sturdy.
Right.
Like this guy's been hit once, but you just don't want to mess up the camera or the.
Oh, yeah.
The
It's
not
okay.
you specifically.
It's okay
I mean,
if I touch it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, from players hitting it.
Oh,
Literally with pitches.
Whoa.
I've seen it done before.
Yeah.
So the case keeps it protected. Protects our investment.
Yeah, okay. Do they, if I'm thinking about a guy that's hitting about 248, he hadn't had an extra base hit in about a week. He's kind of slumping, but look at it. If you want, I think the point I'm getting to, studying other pitchers, is it helpful that way, or is it just certain pitches?
For the Rapsodo, for us, it's more important how we use it to study our own guys.
I got you.
So we don't really have information on opponents from the Rapsodo. At higher levels with TrackMan, a lot of times TrackMan will give you reports on opponents, so you get a ton of data on your opponents as well. But for us, really we use it, and we're looking at key points of training our hitters and our pitchers through from the time they get here in the fall all the way through. And, you know, kind of some of those things. As the first thing, as far as hitters go, zone discipline and approach. You know, it's really underrated when we get into all sorts of metrics, but the bottom line is if you don't swing at strikes, you're not going to hit well. And if you get good pitches to hit, then you're going to hit well. So it actually has a strike zone, and it reads where the pitch is. So we can take that and say, okay, you're swinging at too many pitches out of the strike zone. Or even within the strike zone, we can say your exit velocity on a ball that was inside was only 82, and on a ball that was outside, it was 95. So your in-game approach needs to be locked into the outer part of the plate because that's what you hit hard. And exit velocity is a big metric for us because really you can look at launch angle and spin direction and being on plane and all that, but if you take a good swing, you're going to hit the ball hard. And for us, we're looking for guys to have 90-plus exit velocity, and that then we can break it down a little bit further. Launch angle is a big buzzword going around baseball right now. You know, I kind of don't like the way that it's been translated.
Right.
You know, it's not, in my opinion, it's not all about hitting home runs. But in reality, what it is trying to stay on plane for a long time, be in the hitting zone for a long time. So we look at that a little bit, just trying to make sure guys aren't too steep in their plane, trying to make sure guys aren't too far on top. And then with pitchers, velocity is king. It always has been.
Right.
We use that to measure, again, desired outcome of strikeouts. The better your stuff is, the more strikeouts you're going to get. Then we get into spin rate and spin efficiency, horizontal and vertical movement, all this kind of stuff that determines where you're going to most effectively get outs. So guys with high spin rate, which basically your spin rate is how fast, that's measured by RPMs, and then that kind of creates your horizontal vertical movement combined with spin efficiency, which deflects gravity, gives the ball the appearance that it's rising, even though it's physically impossible for the ball to rise. It has the perception to the hitter. So high spin rate guys are going to go up in the zone, low spin rate guys down in the zone. We're just trying to put our guys in the best position to have success using this stuff.
Fantastic. You got to come back and with Candler or whatever and do some more of this. For me, being the dinosaur that I am, I'm even picking this up because you're dumbing it down for me. But it's great. I know the kids and the players of today are digging it.
They do. They love it.
And Jake, thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely.
Very educational and terrific stuff. And again, Gulf Coast next game is Tuesday at 3 o'clock at home, and they play on Saturday on the road. And we wish them all luck. For Jake Schuster, in for Mike Candler, I'm Greg Sherrod. See you next time.